We're back.
Welcome back to the Marshalls podcast. I'm Chanel Marshall.
And I am Antoine Marshall.
So today we are going to step away from relationship stuff for a little bit and talk about, I guess, finances. And the question is multiple streams of income necessary? So what do you think, Antoine?
Yes, I think it's very necessary. I use myself as an example. My wife and I, when we got married, she was 27. I was about to be 27 in a few months. But it was like the summertime, almost summertime. I think I just finished at a local media school here in the Metro City, in Metro Detroit area. And I'm excited, right? I landed this job that I worked so hard when I was in school at that place to get internships. I mean, my wife would tell you, I was doing radio stations, I was doing everything I can that entire year just so I can land a job right after I finished the program. This is pre-college. And I landed the job at a pretty cool editing company in Royal Oak, Michigan, that I was very excited about. So, and they were offering me, I think, like $15 an hour. So for me, that was like, oh, that's pretty decent, 26, that's fine. Just got married, don't got no kids, no bills, don't even have a dog. Just us. I'm excited, and I'm in my field too. I think that's also the thing. I'm in my field, so I'm doing something that I'm passionate about. So 2 weeks in, I come back, I come in, and I didn't even get my first check yet. And it's 40 of us in this department, and everybody's running around frantic. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, we're all being laid off. And I'm like, for what? And I still don't understand why. I never got an answer. I just know that I turned right back around and hop in my car and figure out how I'm gonna tell my wife this. It's not that my wife is gonna do anything bad or whatever or be angry, but it doesn't feel good coming home like, hey, I lost my job. Mm-hmm. Regardless if it's not your fault. I had nothing lined up. There's nothing else, period, just this. And I barely worked. I only been here for 2 weeks. So I don't even have a check. So now I have to figure out what to do next. And I am doing seasonal jobs in between, making anywhere between $9 an hour, depending on the seasonal job when it comes to photography, or anything up to like $14 an hour, But the thing is, after 2 or 3 months, it's over. Now I'm at the square one. I'm applying to other places, other companies, not just media companies or photography companies. I'm applying everywhere. Home Depot, Lowe's I applied to banks. I mean, anywhere. I applied to office just to be a clerk. Did not apply to fast food. I did not. I wasn't at that point yet, but I probably should have. But to fast forward, the first 2.5 years, almost 3 years of our marriage, for me financially, it was a struggle. It was a struggle because I could not land the position that I felt that I deserved, that I worked hard for, that I studied for, and I put all my blood, sweat, and tears for regardless. And I couldn't even land any other job outside of that had nothing to do with what I went to school for. So and within that process, I said to myself, I have to create my own opportunities. Mm-hmm. So the little money I was getting, obviously, when you get little money, it pretty much evaporates. You pay whatever bill you can, and the little coins I was able to stretch, it went into buying first camera, first cheap tripod, first cheap flash, and I did what I could to try to scrape up a few little coins just to start my media company. Fast forward to now, things are totally different. I'm extremely booked, making money in the media company. I'm also teaching, so I'm also getting paid decent with that as well. And I have 2 streams of income that are really not just helping each other out for myself, but are growing constantly. And so yes, 2 streams of income is very, very important. Not just 2. They say that a person should have 5 to 7, actually, real quick, and then I'll be quiet. So I'm in education. I teach. So we all know between the month of the last week of August to the middle of June, we're teaching, and after that, you're off for a few months. You can do summer school if you want to, whatever. I'm not doing summer school because I'm now at a position because of having two streams of income to like, hey, even if I was off for 4 months financially, I'm good because of my business have grown so much because of that stream of income. Now, I'm not saying that, forget having a job and just do this. Like, no, what I'm saying is having two incomes that constantly growing helps each other out. That if I have to take a break if I want to take a break from this particular thing and rely solely on one income just for a second, I can do that because of having two streams of income.
Right.
So imagine what I can do if I have 4 or 5.
Right.
Right? So, yes.
Well, to simply answer the question for me, I would also say yes, and I'll try to keep my background story brief because Antoine can talk. But just to kind of tell my story, when I graduated from college, Michigan State, go Green, in 2008 though. So I graduated in 2008, which was the recession. We know that's when the mortgage industry declined. People were getting these subprime mortgages, couldn't afford the mortgage, and it completely crashed the market. So I'm trying to find a job during this time. And mind you, I have my degree from Michigan State, and it's also in finance. And I was not able to find a job in my field at all whatsoever. I ended up just taking a job at a casino here in Michigan, and then I did some other things, and it took me 3 years to finally land a job in my career. So as far as my story, it reminds me of how important it is to not rely on just getting the degree and thinking that, okay, I've done the steps, I've gone to school, I have my degree, so now I'm supposed to get a job. But that's not what happened for me. I was hit with this recession, and trying to just land a job and relying on just that one job. So I would say, for my point of view, thinking about how I was kind of, programmed to think, okay, you go to school, you get a job, and you're on your way. And I wasn't able to immediately start that process. So it just makes me realize how important it is to not rely on one stream of income, as Antoine mentioned. And it has taken me a while to still get away from that mindset of, okay, having just job security. It's not about just having job security. It's about having, as we're going to continue to mention, multiple streams of income that will provide that so-called security. But in reality, we clearly see now that there really is no such thing as security. We're dealing with this pandemic, and even with industries that we thought were so secure have suffered, in the past year and a half, almost 2 years that we've been dealing with this pandemic. So that's even more reason of why it's so important to not have all your eggs in one basket, and you always hear about like diversifying your portfolio. You got to diversify your streams of income, your money. So
very, very well spoken, Miss Marshall. And I would say that maybe if you went to U of M, you would have landed the job. No, I'm joking. But you mentioned how it took you a while to get there, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it took you a while to get there is because even though you didn't land a job that you wanted, you still at 23, 24 had a job to where you were making at least 30-something thousand a year, No,
I wasn't.
No, you wasn't? Okay.
Less than 30.
But still, but in the 20s, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people fresh out of college, half of us are not even getting there. You know, so as somebody who is, we all know that $20,000, $24,000, $30,000 is not a lot of money. We're not, and I'm not disrespecting anybody if that's all you're making as well. We're not saying that as well. But when you are fresh out of college or your last year of college and you are making 25, 30K a year, you're like 21, 22 years old, that's not bad. You know what I'm saying? And you're still living at home. I'm not saying not to strive for more immediately, because yes, but you don't have any major responsibilities at that time. So maybe your mindset is like, this is not what you want right now, but financially, you're not forced like how I was forced to, like, man, I have to think of something now. I'm a married man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't keep doing this throughout I can't keep, and I want to do what I love now. So I have to create something now.
Yeah.
And obviously my wife would probably echo the same thing that I'm about to echo. Probably many other people will too. Growing up through the school and growing up underneath our parents, it was always go to college, get a good job, and that's it. And be happy with what you got. Yeah. Like, you be happy with what you got. Be satisfied with what you got. And it's always what could be worse. Well, my wife and I was just watching a show, BMF, which is about the brothers who started the Black Mafia in Detroit, Michigan, which is produced by 50 Cent here. And the first episode dropped, and listening to the dialogue, it was some gems in there. We're not condoning drug dealing at all. That's not what we're doing. But there was a conversation between the father and son and older son, and he's like, why is working at the plant at that time, if you work at the plant back in the 70s, that you was doing something, but he's like, why is that doing something? Why is that the ceiling for us?
Right.
And we're still struggling. You work at the plant and we don't have anything. Now I'm not saying that's how we grew up, because that's not. We grew up thankfully with parents who worked hard and we had money, but it was never have multiple streams of income. Something that and then I'll be quiet again. Something that always, every once in a while, I'll say to my wife is that I wish that when I was at Wayne State University, I wish that me and a few of my friends, the little money that we did have, and our refund checks that, when you're in college, you get a refund check if you're eligible or whatever. We took that and invested into one of the townhomes that they just built back in 2006. Before all of this was before downtown Midtown area. There were some townhomes that are still there to this day that are right across from the Red Wings and Pistons or Little Caesars Arena. Beautiful. They've been there since 2006. And at that time they were like $30,000, and that's a lot of money for 18, 19-year-old kids. But our credits were all pretty decent still at the time. And if we had that knowledge or that training from somebody above us to say, hey, those properties right there, if all you all can come together and come up with $12,000 as a down payment, you can get one of those properties. Those townhomes right now are worth $500,000.
Right.
Even if we sold that townhouse, 5 years from now, we still would have walked away together with over $300,000 and split that three ways. But we weren't taught that, so we weren't told that, right. And I wish we was.
Yeah.
So now it's on us to do that for our future kids and our future generation. So.
I just wanted to go back a little bit to when you were describing the guy and the dad conversation and him saying, why is working at the plant the goal?
Yeah.
And like you say, no disrespect to anyone who works at the plant, because my mom works at the plant. Being in Michigan, that's
it's a staple.
Yeah.
Yep.
Working at the car industry, GM, Ford, and Chrysler. That's one of the number one jobs in Michigan, and that's our number one industry. But what I was thinking about when you were saying that, and then even going into your description about trying to invest in the townhome and wishing that you have someone tell you that. I agree. I agree that, you know, we didn't have that talk about, okay, get the job, go to school, get the job, but then they also needed to add, you need to make sure that you invest too. And it's not just investing in your 401k, because everyone always wants to say
that, yep.
Investing. Okay, we get it. Okay, we doing that, but we got to do more than that too, because we were just talking earlier, and I was just thinking about the whole idea about the generational wealth and how we need to continue to invest and grow so that we can pass that on to our kids. We don't have kids yet, but
we will
when we have kids or our nieces or nephews
right.
or whatever, about just continuing to have generational wealth and not just having the talk of, you know, go to school, get the job, but also add in there that you need to invest. And it's not just the 401k, but investing in whatever market maybe that you have interest in. Is it real estate, or it still can be stocks and things like that. But yeah, but and then the last thing that I wanted to say about that is I do think that our generation, and people love to talk about millennials, so we are millennials, but millennials and then the generation underneath us, Gen Z?
Gen Z, I think.
I think that our generation is really good about wanting to invest and have these multiple streams of incomes like we're speaking on. So, and I know we were talking about how you don't have to wait, you know, for someone to tell you what to do or how to get there. Like you have to seek the information. But I'm gonna just end with, I do think that our generation and the generation beneath us has a more, I don't know how I want to say, like, future. They have the mindset to want to strive for more and do more and see how they can make their money, you know, work for them, as opposed to continue to just work so hard and not getting to the next steps.
No, that's good. That's good. I being in education and teaching in certain areas, you see the lack of resources that is being dispersed especially amongst our people. And I always say this: a lot of our life decisions are choices that we made, regardless of what it is. It's a choice that we made. You know, so, but I see families who, how can I say this, without coming off of, not trying to be mean, but, you know, families that have so many kids, but do not have the financial capability or the resources to take care of them. And but then having these kids, you see already early on the curse that's been passed down is now into these kids already. You know, and as someone who's in education, there's only so much I can do with your child to motivate them to think, to try to, you know, unwire that way of thinking. You know, and so I know how important. I mean, not that my wife doesn't either, but people who teach in certain areas, you know how important multiple streams of income really is. You see it every day. Yeah. You know, I hear it every day, how hard it is for these parents who have multiple kids to make it, you know. And it's like, well, my wife and I was talking earlier, and we were talking about how, and I said, I don't like when people say, I didn't know, because let's move our generation out the way and let's talk about the baby boomers and what's our parents' generation. I'm not sure, but they didn't have the cell phones and the computers and stuff like that, but they still had the books. They still had the encyclopedias. They still had the ability to walk outside their house and search. because these group of baby boomers can say, oh, I didn't know, I didn't have that. But these over here, they did know because they went out and searched. So why did William over here start 3 businesses and got 2 degrees and doing well, and Bertha over here didn't, and they came from the same neighborhood?
Right.
Because one seeked the information, one didn't. One person was comfortable with the lifestyle, and the other person wasn't.
Right.
William wasn't comfortable. He wanted more. He wanted to do more. He thought about future, his family down the line. He thought about his own future. I mean, there's a lot of things in this world that I don't care to need, but I want to be able, and it matters to me, to walk into a store and say I can afford that if I want it. I want to, if we have 4 or 5 kids, I want to be able to, none of our kids need anything. None of our kids, they're going to be smart and get full rides. That's a must, or we not going, or y'all start a business in. But, what I'm saying is, we have a cousin who, he has 7 kids, and all his kids are amazing. That they're grown, doing well, and he has businesses. He has property. None of them want for anything. My cousin and his wife, who's also our cousin, they can travel as much as they want to, and they about to leave soon. They have traveled, and not just that, they traveled with 7 kids when the kids were small to Africa with no problem. I mean, that right there shows you why multiple streams of incomes is important.
Yeah.
Do you think he worries about money? No. His kids don't worry about money. And so I think one of the things is, and I'm going to be quiet again, is that we were listening to our pastor, and he mentioned how if I want to know where you're going, I want to look at your friends. So if you want to reach a certain level or do things where, like my wife said, where it's invest in the stock market or real estate or sell merch or whatever it is, start a podcast, or you get around people who are doing that and connect with them and talk with them constantly. Matter of fact, you make them your friends, and this is something that we see within our families. People get comfortable. You get too comfortable being around your family. Someone told me, if you make every single family function, every single party, every single thing all the time, then you're not doing something right.
I can see that. You're not spending enough time on, other things that you could be doing to build yourself up. Of course, you want to spend time with family, but how much time are you taking to continue to build for your future kids and continuing to build up that wealth? So I agree. I didn't think about something like that. So that was good.
I mean, think about this. How many times have I had to, hey, I can't make it, I got to shoot.
And it's, where's Antoine?
Yep.
I'm like, he out getting his money.
Getting his money.
I'm fine. He where he's supposed to be.
Where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
But when you have multiple streams of income, there are times to where I can call somebody and say, hey, you want to take this job? And so I can spend time with friends and family today. Because I can do that, now. But like my wife said, I'm out here getting this money. So no, I'm not going to make your birthday thing or make your family gathering all the time, or because I'm out trying to get this bag for not just my wife and not just myself, but for the new Marshalls that's going to come into our lives and here on, And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to work a job for the rest of my life. And I don't care to retire. Right. If I have money, if we're making money while I'm asleep, what do I need to retire from? We know people who, for the rest of their lives, until they leave this earth, and they're going to pass it on to their kids, but until they leave this earth, they don't have to work a job. We know a few people doing that already. And we talk to these people. We have conversations with these people. We ask questions. My wife and I, we were speaking with a cousin not too long ago about different LLCs and what to do with that. And should we have one have everything underneath the LLC, or should we have different LLC? I mean, these are questions that you go out and ask. He would have never known to talk to me about this if I didn't come to him and ask him that question. I went to him and asked him because I want to know. So saying that I don't know is not a good excuse. It's not a good excuse for us. It's not a good excuse for our parents' generation, and therefore on. You know, it just isn't. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, I think, like you say, as far as seeking, I know I had mentioned earlier, I think I have the whole saving and budgeting down pack. I've never had a car payment. I pay cash, no student loan debt. So I know how to save. I know how to budget. But the thing that I want to continue to grow in is investing. So what I am going to do is continue to be around people who are doing the things that I want to do, and reading, and even being, like you say, YouTube University. They have some good information on YouTube. So those are the things that I'm trying to continue to do for myself, for our family, to just keep growing and not rely just on that one source. And it took me some time to get there. I was not always like that. Like I mentioned before, I'm just like, I have a good job, but I want to do more. I'm ready to do more. And I know, like you were mentioning earlier, you can't be afraid, and you have to sometimes take risks. And that's something that I'm, building my muscles up to do, as far as like taking more risks, because that's pretty much how a lot of people get to that $1 million status, is they're willing to take risks that other people are not willing to do. So
that's a very good point. I mean, think about in today's climate, a lot of us not know personally, but could count how many rich people in the world that we know of. And it's a nice number. And think about their stories if you know their stories. They took risks. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in the 90s in his house. Took a risk. Same thing with what's the guy from Tesla? I don't know about him, but
I can't think of his name.
Disney, the guy who did Disney, it was in his garage. He got shot down how many times because they hated the way Mickey Mouse looked. And now look at Disney now.
Right.
Risk. But how many people came and laughed at these people and kept going because they happy about their $40K, $50K a year job and feeling like they probably are. They probably are comfortable. But they laughing at that person, and now they are going to this person and put money in their pocket now. The people who laughed at Jeff Bezos are now on Amazon buying stuff and lining up his pockets because these people are taking risks. But we're not taught to take risks. Or you do grow, or the sky's the limit for you. But the problem is when people who are telling you that the sky is the limit, you see where their ceiling is every single day. They're telling you to reach for the stars, but they didn't reach for the stars. So it's like, as a kid, you're probably like, well, what's the stars? You know what I'm saying? Everywhere I'm looking, you all are saying reach for the stars, but you all have all hit your ceiling and stopped there.
Right.
Why didn't you reach for the stars?
Right.
And that goes back to saying, I didn't know it's not the answer. The answer is I was comfortable and satisfied where I was at and didn't care to want to do more. That's the truth, But I want to just talk about also briefly, and I'll throw it back to you. When people who have ideas and they have ideas, right? They sit around, I got this idea and this and that, but haven't started their idea. Why do you think that is?
They have an idea and they haven't started?
They haven't started yet. They haven't did anything yet. They haven't put any effort yet. And it's been a couple of months now since they told you, or a year. You know, like why do you think they haven't started yet?
Probably. I mean, it could be a number of reasons. It could be finances. Maybe they still don't have the funds to start whatever it is they're trying to start. Or it could just be just pure laziness, like just not getting up and just going ahead and start. I came to you, I won't say right now because it's still in the works, but I came to you about an idea for a business for us. And it was just kind of a thought. And next thing I know, you was like, I did this and I did this and I did this. And I'm like, whoa, like I just told you this like 2 weeks ago and it's already starting. So like you say, it's not always about finances, because I think sometimes people will use it, and I mean it could very well be the issue for some, but I think a lot of times it's just pure work ethic of just really getting up and just getting to it, and then next thing you know, things will just continue to progress. So that's whatever.
That's good. I think on a touch on the last thing you just said, work ethics. I think that's one of the biggest things. You know, because in today's climate, excuse me, there's a lot of resources out there now. You know, to go back what you was mentioning about the business idea you have for us, it was easy to get into that and get started because of the skills I have with getting started and creating the layout for what we wanted. You know. So that right there takes no time, you know. So for me is why would I wait? If I waited for months, it's because I'm being lazy now. And I'm just talking and I'm not caring or whatever, I'm just talking. But when you told me about this idea and the passion and then the name we came up with quickly, and then once I start to develop it, everything was clicking together. It's like, this is not meant to be set on, you know. And for a lot of people, when you get started, you realize that things actually start to fall into place for you. So maybe, like you said, let's just say hypothetically speaking, you're trying to brand and create a T-shirt or something, and you need a graphic designer, right? It's easy to be like, oh, all this stuff is going to be expensive, but have you made any calls?
Right.
Have you talked to anybody about this? Have you reached out just to see? No, right? And so you're sitting around thinking there's all this money. So to go back to us, I made a call the next day and realized that it's going to be a lot cheaper to get what we want developed. And I'm like, told the brother, like, hey, take your time, 2 to 3 weeks, take your time. Perfect. Blame. Gave him, and here's something else. Because of multiple streams of income, I was able to quickly, even if I didn't have multiple streams of income, because of where I'm at now with my job, now in education, I still would have been able to. But having 2 streams of income make it easier to start investing to another business. And another business. You see, the money I make don't just go to our bills, don't just go to savings, don't just go to us hanging out. It goes back into the business.
Right.
Even for AR Vision Media, buy new equipment, we replace equipment that's broken, more marketing things. And that's what you do. You don't just get money and have it. You get money, throw it back out and get more money. Throw it back out and get more money. And as my wife would tell you in her corporate business, she sees it all the time. And then eventually we'll get to a point to where we're no longer using our money.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay, so to conclude everything, guys, as you can see, multiple streams of income is very important. To be honest with you, if you go on YouTube or just research multiple streams of income, it is a must in today's climate. You know, it is a must to have multiple streams of income. Just go back to 2020, even now, you know, having multiple streams of income, you have to have, you know. And if you're single, I would say you should at least have 3. If you're married, you all, if it's possible, at least have close to 6. You know, both you all should both have something going on together or apart. whatever you want it to be, you know. And I would have to say, do things that you're passionate in too.
Well, that's a way that you can, because some people may say, well, I don't know where to start. And that's thinking about what you're passionate about could be a way to start. I don't know why I'm messing up. But thinking about what you're passionate about is a way for you to start on figuring out how can you capitalize on that. So if you do hair, maybe you have a job and then you do hair, you can do hair on the side.
Yep.
You obviously do your, well, I mean, you do, you have your teaching and then you do the photography. But
Yep.
I don't want to say it's on the side.
No, it's not on the side. It's definitely main.
Yeah.
It's definitely main. It's not a side thing. It's definitely the main thing. It's actually almost equal to my job, you know. But no, yeah, I would say also, I guess to add to that, the passion. If you don't know what you want to do, then you need to find things you can invest in. Startups, if you want to get in early, or like Chanel said, if you shop at Nike or Amazon or got a Tesla, you know, put in some stock. You know, there's apps to where you could put in a fraction, a piece. Shoot, there's apps where you can put in $5 and own a little snippet, you know, and start to build. And you can add with that. I don't know much about Bitcoin, you know, but if you can get into the Bitcoin currency thing and
So what about things like DoorDash and Uber and Chip and all that?
that's also a good a stream of income, you know. You have your job and you want to make extra money for maybe going out or travel or just to have another job for an extra income. DoorDash and all Uber and Lyft and everything are good ways to. Those are also good jobs too. To if you want to start a business but want flexibility.
Yeah.
You know, DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, all of these places that require you to drive if you want flexibility to start something else. So there's ways of there's ways of creating a lifestyle suitable for yourself. And I have to say this, and I need to voice this more as we go, especially around family, because the younger kids need to hear something different. But it is okay to want to, what I want to say, it is okay to want to strive to be the very best and to have a lot, if that may make sense. It's okay to want to travel 4 or 5 times a year. If you are creating a space for you to do that, it's okay to do that. It's okay for you to if you want to have 4 or 5 houses, if that's what you want. It's okay. You know, that mindset though, you don't have to do that, but that mindset needs to be normal.
Yeah.
And not have a job, get 2 kids, and be happy with. Let's make mediocre not the norm anymore. And let's make I need to cut this out too because I'm having a brain fart right now. But what's the word I want to? Let's have being extraordinary, different, the standard now. You know, and our family, especially African Americans, we should have multiple millionaires in our families.
Yeah.
You know, not just 0 and not just 1. And it shouldn't be based off of just nothing wrong with these. Should not be based off of being a musician or being an athlete or an actor.
Right.
You know, and then I'll let my wife say something, or we can shut it down after this. There's nothing wrong with having a corporate job and having a career and working under anyone. We just saying have multiple streams of income as well. You know, like she said, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if layoffs happen. 1 minute you making 6 figures, next minute you come home and because they cut you because they have to cut costs.
Right.
You know, and if you've been living this lifestyle that you and your family is used to, and now you don't have that income, and hopefully you're saving, but if you haven't been saving, now what? But if you have two businesses or two things that you do on the side that's doing pretty well, if you lose that 6-figure job, you don't have to give up your house. You don't have to give up your cars. You don't have to move because you still have that income. You might, depending on what your business is doing, you might make some cuts in the house, but still, you still have income, steady income to fall back on. So, yeah, that's what I would leave with you all.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think we said it all. I think we really drove it about having multiple streams of income. So I would just say, think about some small steps right now of how you can build that next stream of income, and hopefully we've inspired you to do that. So.
Yeah, guys. Well, that is it. We are the Marshalls, and until next time, just stay tuned. If you haven't yet, check out some of our previous episodes. We really think that you're going to enjoy them. And leave a comment, like, subscribe, and please share. We will really love it. And subscribe and share. We will really love it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah. Peace out.